her quilt. She does some quilt meetings and some others and some classes and that. And we put it on the big screen TV, and she has her quilt table and everything spread out. It's kind of a nice setup.
Nice.
Hang on, I have to go retrieve a tennis ball.
Was that, did you get a command for that?
Yeah.
The dog throws it and Joe retrieves it. Joe goes gets it. Yeah.
You
Get
don't
a
know the
little
truth of
treat.
that. He purposely tosses it under the sofa, and then I retrieve it for him. So
I like to see that as the backdrop.
The dog's got you trained.
oh, he yes, he has me well trained. Well, we used to watch Colin's dog is half husky, and so he always wants to be outside. But he would actually go to the door and do the like paw at it. And when we'd watch him, I'd come back and I'd be like, "So, Colin, your dog has really needs to go out like every 2 hours." Like, "No, Dad, he just has you well trained." Like, really, again? Yeah, I have to go.
I had to figure out how to put the teeth on. Our camera's not on. Doesn't have real good vision angle. You want-
Anthony, is my memory bad, or are you in a different spot tonight with a different background?
I removed the Christmas wrapping paper from the picture,
Ah, very,
and Dana started back at school in the building, so now all our backgrounds are back to normal.
looks good.
So, John, one of these kids mounted on the wall here.
Thought you were gonna say
One on
I
each-
didn't recognize me because I removed my goatee.
No.
So that means they're gonna move me so that you're not looking at the glare bald spotted.
I gained 10 years of life by
Trying to
taking it
put you in
off.
a reclining position. That's fine, hey, it works for me.
You probably really even shouldn't be out in this weather. You're taking a chance with the phone, man.
No, that's about the 50th person that has said that to me today. And, but duty calls.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mr. Zamba is the we got about 2 minutes.
He usually is about 3 minutes late anyway.
If he's gonna be here, yes. Okay. Did you mute everybody?
Just the TV. Okay. I don't trust it. Yeah. They're coming out of the speaker.
Can we get the big screens up? Are we gonna actually go off of those then?
Yeah, so we'll put one on each wall. Then there'll be cameras here and probably somewhere over here.
What size are those TVs?
75.
75 inches.
If we have garage doors or something.
Yeah. Cost 2.
It really didn't cost that much.
No. I'm
I'm
surprised.
amazed.
Overall. Okay, it's 7:30, 19th. Call, or not call the meeting to order yet, just explain that the Open Meetings Act has been amended according to the executive order of the governor due to the pandemic. We can operate with a meeting of audio and video remote, as long as at least one member of the board is present in the building. And this evening, we have 3 members of the board here in the building, and the rest are attending remote. Just for the record, I'm going to go through to see if we can be heard. Anthony, Steve, Ed, Joe, Chief, can you hear us?
Yep. I'm clear.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, confirm that those attending remote can hear. In that case, I'll have the clerk call the roll. Or, no, let's call the meeting to order. And have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we can do the roll call. Mr. Moreno,
Present.
Mr. Datley,
Present.
Mr. Nimitz,
Present.
Mr. Zimba, Mr. Merkel. Here. Mr. Harney.
Here.
Did I miss anybody? No, we've got 5 out of the 6 present. We have a quorum. We have a meeting. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of January 4th, 2021. I have a motion to so approve.
I make a motion to approve the village board meeting minutes of January 4th, 2021.
Second, Diatley.
Moved by Hardy, seconded by Merkel. Are there any corrections to the minutes of January 4th? There being no corrections, roll call, please. Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Datley,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Motion carries. There being 5 affirmative votes and no negative votes, the motion so passes. Okay, the next item is the president's report. Quick one on that one is the last portion of the coronavirus relief funds has been applied for. They were to account for any of those, I believe it was September expenditures from September 15th through December 31st, 2020. And Christmas Eve, we spent the last of it. And we sent the paperwork in to, Friday to be reimbursed on those expenses. So now what we've got to do is wait for the little elves to show up and mount the electronics to the wall and get the wiring run, and we're all set and ready to rock and roll. That's it for the president's report. Clerk's report.
I have nothing to report other than to say I'm glad to be back and to see everybody's happy and healthy.
Likewise, Tony.
Good to have you back, Tony.
Yep.
Okay, the next one is planning and zoning with no report there. Attorneys, we have no report. The engineer, there is a couple of items in the packet from the engineer. I'm sorry, I should have probably noted earlier. Last Friday, we had an incident where 4 utility poles were taken out on Sleepy Hollow Road. And it knocked out the internet for those who had Comcast internet. And that means the village hall was out. We had quite a day getting emails routed around and information compiled and sent out with the internet being down until about 3 or 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. So in that situation, we missed the engineer's reports on 2 permits, but they are in the packets for your review. If you have any questions or concerns with those, please let me know. And if not, we will pick these up in 2 weeks. So, okay, the next is finance report. We've got the warrants for January 19th, 2021. in the amount of, let's see, where are we here?
I got it here. I will go ahead and we approve the warrants for January 19th, 2021 in the amount of $140,004.69.
Second, Diatley.
Okay, moved by Nemick, seconded by Diatley to approve the warrants of January 19, 2021 in the amount so quoted. Any additions, deletions, comments, or questions? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel.
4 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The warrants are so approved. Okay, the next item is comments from the public. We've got 2 of them. The first one is from CM Parker, our newsletter editor. He'd like to remind everybody that the spring newsletter is coming up, and he would like all our entries to him by the 15th of February. So there, you're forewarned, gentlemen. Get those notices to CM for inclusion in the newsletter. And the next one we've got, let me pull this up here a sec. Come on. Oh, it doesn't want to do all this again, does it? I'm sorry, I gotta log into my email to get this notice.
See, while you're looking there, Steve, the spring newsletter comes out on what date?
It'll come out in March,
March.
early part of March.
Okay.
Okay, this is the comment I got sent to me, asked, please read my email at the next meeting on January 19, 2021. I moved to Sleepy Hollow in 2006 and love this village. I have friendships with great neighbors and throughout the community. For the first 14 years of living here, I have loved everything about the sense of community and the friendliness of the village. In the past year, it seems that my home has come under great scrutiny regarding the village code. Some legitimate and rectified and others not. The last notice of not permitted was posted on my door January 12, 2021 with a large orange sticker. The letter stated, a complaint has been received and an investigation has found a new front door has been installed. This structure was installed without a permit, unquote. I did replace the front door. It was a simple exchange of the old slab door with a new one of the same dimensions. Nothing structurally was changed. The door is not structural in nature and does not support any part of my home. It swings from hinges attached to the frame. The letter also stated you are hereby given notice to submit a permit with supporting information detailing the manufacturer's specifications for the door installed and make a check payable to the village. This amount is double fee required for working without a permit, unquote. Included in the above letter, quote, also, I have received a previous complaint about work being done at your home late last year, and it called you regarding that complaint. You did not return my call. Therefore, I am including a separate permit application for that work. Complete it and provide the details and the drawings for the work completed. The applications and plans will be reviewed and you will be notified when the permit is ready. The work that was done included replacing the upstairs flooring, baseboard, and painting. I am currently having my stairway sanded and stained along with the hallway patched and painted. The notice posted to my door asked that a permit be filled out for that work as well. I have never received a call about the complaint. I am asking the board to look at the source of the complaints and the number of complaints to the general intersection of Joy Lane and Hilltop Lane. This is a thoroughfare area, and I believe this area receives more notices than anywhere else in the village. I understand the need for compliance to the village code and support it. It seems that my home and my neighbors receive an inordinate number of complaints. Are they all coming from the same person? Please review the complaints and the quantity issued on this busy thoroughfare to determine whether there has been an inordinate number of notices issued and if they are justified. It is uncomfortable knowing that anyone driving by my home that sees a service vehicle of any kind is for some reason targeting my home and the area to find fault with compliance. It is not a good feeling and has resulted in neighbors disenchanted with the village because of the undue accusations and scrutiny. Kindly understand that I am asking for a review of the notices and village input. Reasonable common sense should be used when determining when and to whom notices are posted. The atmosphere of distrust and grievance amongst the neighbors is growing to the point of us asking each other if we should let our grass grow 8 inches and paint our homes pink. Thank you for your time and your consideration. Sincerely, Barb Groves. Okay,
I have a comment on that.
it's public comment.
Pardon me?
What do you want?
I think we're nickel and diming people to death. To replace a door and if you're patching a wall in your home, you're gonna have to get a permit. Well, guess what? I patched holes in my wall, so send over an inspector and they started hitting me with permits over the years. We're nickel and diming people to death. And, you know, some neighborhoods have neighborhood watch. It seems we have neighborhood watch and snitch. I don't know this lady. I'm first hearing about this tonight. But it seems like we encourage people to snitch on their neighbors. You know, if it's something that's going to jeopardize the home, the building, that's one thing. But to replace a door, not replacing the frame, replacing the door and adding that cost, I guess it's about $100 to that is ridiculous. And I would think that these people fight these things. That a judge may see it that way also.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Okay, trustee reports, roads and parks. Mr. Harney.
Nothing new to report.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Finance, Don is not with us this evening, but I can tell you that the audit has been completed. The draft has been reviewed and has been returned to the auditors for the final draft to be printed and delivered to the village. We will probably have them at the presentation for the audit at the February 1st meeting. Then that's it for finance. Water and sewer, Mr. Nemec.
Nothing new to report, sir.
Thank you, Joe. Police and public safety, Mr. Diatley.
Just a couple quick things. The chief has put several things in your packet. I'll let you read those all when you have a chance, but just a couple shout outs to the chief and the department. I had a couple very good comments about rescuing Daisy the other day. A very good thing in the neighborhood. And also the chief's has been working on a survey that is out and getting some valuable feedback. So I appreciate his work and the whole department's work on, you know, putting forth a positive environment in our community. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Was that rescuing Daisy?
Pardon?
Rescuing Daisy, yes.
Yeah, I just heard it on WBBM. They interviewed Rich English, and they've got a little news report on Sleepy Hollow and how everybody came together. So that's a good thing for the village.
There was also an article in the Daily Herald this morning. One of the reporters called yesterday. We gave them some photos that some of the officers took while they were on scene, and yeah, very good. We had participation from Carpentersville Police Department. They brought some equipment, our fire department, and 2 of our officers were on scene as well, helping Daisy get out of the drain pipe.
Hey, was it I saw that it was stuck in the drain. Was it stuck in the drain pipe or just trying to avoid people in the?
Well, I think she had, someone had seen her. They were out looking for her and they saw her and they tried to go and get her and she ducked into the drain pipe and I don't know if she got a little stuck or was a little hesitant to get out, but they had to use a long pole with the noose on there. They kind of
Oh, okay.
wiggled it around in there and she shot out the other end and they helped, some of the firemen and policemen helped guide her out. So it was a tight fit, but we got her out.
Okay.
A happy ending though. That was
Yes.
good.
That's always good. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Diatley. Buildings and Environment, Mr. Merkel.
No report.
Thank you, Tom. Building and Zoning, Mr. Moreno.
Just want to make a general comment. Permits in the village are basically required to ensure that safety and that the residents are not subjected to unappropriate workers or people who would do things that may not be to code. I know that there's been a number of situations where not only does the code enforcer enforce codes, but residents do call. And because we are a small village, I understand the reason that residents would call. If resident A has to get a permit for a door and resident B has a door going in, it's that there is no indication a permit is on the front window. There's some, resentment or some concern on that. I did reach out to ICCI, to Barbara Detmer. We briefly chatted about this particular issue. I'm going to follow up with Barbara Detmer again. But some of the things that we're impacted by is that the Illinois Energy Commission has requirements for any exterior replacement, basically to prevent external air, cold, heat from coming into a building, which would impact, your own home's efficiencies. It raises another question just in general about the when you look at a thing like a door, if it's just physically being replaced on hinges, is that a requirement? It's still a requirement at this point, unless we were to take action to change some of that. That is not, I'm not suggesting we are changing anything. I'm just suggesting that this is a concern that comes up often, permits in general for some house repairs, and we need to look at it a little closer. So I'll work with ICCI to determine what is our best approach. But again, it just basically, I mean, we all have responsibilities. I live close to Randall Road, and in the evenings I can hear cars racing up and down the road. We don't have a permission to drive 100 miles an hour on Randall Road. We have permission to drive a vehicle, and we have a permit to drive a vehicle, but we have to obey the laws. And again, similar situations, if there's going to be home improvements, we have to obey the current laws that are on the books. If something were to change in the future, then that's a separate issue. But I just want to make comment that it is something that does come up often. Certain houses, because they happen to be, at Hollywood and Vine, for example. Yeah, I mean, there are people who are going to observe a little more activity. Not to suggest that people that live, off the beaten track in the village, are doing things, not to code as well. But it is an issue. I just want to make the board aware that, it's something I'm trying to work on with the right channels to see how we can either improve the wording to better have people better understand the codes, especially the permit codes. And I would also encourage any resident that's listening or any resident that will watch the YouTube in the future, if you ever have a question, just call the village. Call me personally. My phone numbers are in the village information. My email is in the village information. Be happy to answer those questions before we reach a point in a situation such as President Pickett read the letter, just to try to give some guidance. We're not here to, harass people. We're just here to maintain safety. So with that, that's all I had. Thank you.
And Anthony, just to speak to that I've had residents as I've been walking ask me, hey, do I need a permit for this or what do I do? And I refer them to ICCI, and they are very happy to receive phone calls, and the input I've gotten back from the residents is that they were like, thank you very much. I didn't need it for this, but I didn't need it for that. It seems like the Detmer Barb is very helpful for working with people ahead of time to let them know what they do and do not need permits and what the process is. So thank you for what you're doing in the department. It seems to be running pretty smoothly.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Moving on to old business. The only item under old business this evening is the tax referendum for the property tax ordinance 2021-1. Have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-1.
So moved, Diatley.
Second, Nemec.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Nemec to approve ordinance 2021-1, a property tax ordinance increasing the property tax in the village of Sleepy Hollow. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
I know that when this goes on the ballot in April, that and perhaps it's done in the newsletter as well, but that we should send out something or post something that just gives a brief explanation of the reason, and also the fact that if it's unsuccessful in passing, that potentially there are services that may be impacted. I know I lived through the first tax referendum that was voted no, because even as I read it prior to being on the board, it just sounded like my entire tax bill was being increased. The second time it went on the vote where it did pass, I think it was explained a little better so that residents who read it understood the impact is to the Sleepy Hollow portion of your property tax bill. But I think it's important for the village to explain that in some type of a publication so that residents are aware of what we're trying to accomplish. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. No further comments, questions, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Diatley,
Aye.
Mr. Nemec,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
No.
Mr. Prano.
Aye.
4 affirmatives, 1 negative, the motion so passes. Okay, we'll have our work cut out for us in the next couple of months explaining that one. Just remember, folks, we can only explain the situation. We cannot advocate for a yes or a no vote. Okay? We're going to be our hardest thing. Just information. Okay, any other old business to come before the board? Being none, new business. Under new business, we've got a couple more AIM recognitions. Chris, you'd like to bring the board to date on that situation?
Sure. The Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists, they're based out of Schaumburg, and they took over a program that was defunct for a couple of years from the Illinois Department of Transportation. AIM picked it up where IDOT left off, and we wanted to recognize some of our officers that during that time where there was no program in place that they were able to receive these awards. They were a little overdue. Officer Gretchen Failing with 25 DUIs, Officer Jerry Norden with 25, and then myself, 75. Those are awards that come based on after 2001, the amount of DUI arrests that you had made cumulatively, and they offer you an award. You get a little pin and a certificate for the officers, and you put it in their file, and a little recognition for a job well done in getting intoxicated motorists off the streets.
Well, I'm glad you guys got the recognition because that is one dangerous situation. So, okay, any other new business to come before the board?
All right, Mr. President,
Yes, Joe?
I would move that we adjourn.
Second, Diatley.
Moved by Nemec, seconded by Merkel to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel.
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. We are adjourned. We'll see you February 1st, same station, same channel.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Good night,
Stay
everybody.
safe, everybody.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Been around here a lot of years. Is that one of the shortest meetings ever?
No, it's getting close.
Yeah, that's,
Mr.
This
Florence,
side of
John, are you
it, it's
there?
good.
Hey, John,
well, since I've been doing
Yeah.
this, I think this is,
can you hear me?
It's
I
close.
can hear you.
Hey, when you get a chance, can you send me the final numbers on that survey that we ran out, reference the electronic billing, and I'll present those at the next meeting?
Sure.
Thank you,
Yeah,
appreciate it. And thanks for doing all that work. That was
I
great.
can probably count on
Oh, no
on one
problem.
hand.